Jamie Horth versus Teresa Bleda. Yeah, I was wrong. Even though Teresa Bleda beat Gabriela Fernandez and that won his age well, Jamie Horth is able to easily just run through her, just whoop her. Whoop her for a couple of minutes and then, put her out and TKO her. But I will say, man, I mean, Teresa Bleda is a good win because she beat Gabriela Fernandez, but at the same time, Jamie Horth, it's WMMA. They all look like shit, but let's move on. Alan Fry Jr. versus Guilherme Pat. The best word to sum up this fight would be dog shit. That would be the best way to sum up this fight. This is an absolute slop fest at heavyweight, and these two aren't even blobs. Alan Fry Jr. looked like looked geriatric out there with his movement. Looked like super shaky as he was moving forward. He was stumbling forward and wasn't even moving. He was stumbling. And then Guilherme Pat just forgot that he was 6'5", and even though the only thing Alan Fry was doing the entire time, he wasn't shooting for a takedown. No, he was just like just running into Guilherme Pat and just getting the freaking gable grip, behind his back, had the underhooks and was just hugging him up against the fence and wasn't doing anything with it. Maybe every once in a while he would throw a knee to the body, right? And with that, Pat was gassing out for some reason, even though the only thing that Allen showed that he wanted to do the entire fight was just hug against the fence. Literally, that's the extent of what he was trying to do. Just have control up against the fence and land a knee every 10 seconds. That's what Alan Fry Jr. wanted to do. Yet this dumbass, Guilherme Pat, who has a range advantage and a striking advantage, rather than, separating and using his distance and landing the low kicks, which he was able to land, and, mixing it up on the feet and using weapons that he has in his arsenal, right? And, keeping it in range and just piecing him up at range, which he very much could. No, he was just constantly moving forward and moving into the grappler, damn near trying to break his own elbow with how badly he was jamming up his own punches. One of the dumbest performances. This is the dumbest performance on the card. That was idiotic. For both these guys. Allen, what the fuck were you doing? You're just trying to hug him up against the fence? Why? You have to fight. Anyways, yeah, that sucked. This also sucked. Leon Santos is just basically, you want to know what happened in this fight? Takedown, scarf hold, easily throw Melissa Cronin over her head, scarf hold position, and then in the scarf hold position, bop, 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 and then nothing, and then bop, 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 and then, the round ends, and then next round starts, and, Melissa Cronin is kind of touching Luana up on the feet, and then she gets taken down again, and gets held in scarf hold and booped in the face. And that's what happened for the whole fight. I think Cronin got round 2, though, with some damage on the feet. But, yeah, it was pretty... whatever. Not much happened. It was an impressive performance from Leona Santos, though. She had a good game plan, and she had good control. Sean Sheriff versus Steven Asplund. Man, let me tell you something. Asplund, he really plundered that ass. He really did. He was plundering Sean Sheriff's ass for this entire fight. It was an absolute war. It was an absolute scrap. This is the good kind of slop fest, not this nonsense. This is the kind of slop fest we want. We want two guys just fucking trying to murder each other. That's what they were trying to do. I will say, although, it was great from Steven Asplund, and the whooping he put on once they got to round 2, because round 1 it was competitive, but, Asplund still won, of course. Round 2, it was just one-way traffic. Asplund beat the shit out of him. But there was one point where he had Sheriff up against the cage, and he was just, swinging from the hips, just swimming. He was swimming, his punches were swimming. This amateur shit that you get taught not to do in your first 6 months of training. and he's just swimming his punches, and it looks so dog shit. And everyone else is like, oh my gosh, he's about to finish him. And I'm like, I'm about to gouge my eyes out. Can you punch like a proper fucking pro fighter? But no, Asplund sucks. Sheriff sucks. Asplund's a lot of fun, but he sucks. All right, let's not get it twisted. He's ass. He's ass. The way, I mean, you can say good cardio, sure, but he lost just about every ounce of power on his punches. Like, his punches had no more power on them, and he was just throwing, and Sheriff wasn't doing anything because he's shit as well. He was just kind of letting it happen. And it wasn't even guarding. He was, like, kind of half-assingly, like, guarding his face. Like, I can't wait for it. I don't know. I won't say he was just giving up, but, like, he just wasn't doing anything. Like, this didn't look like two good... This didn't look like two solid fighters. I mean, I get it's heavyweight, but, like, jeez. I mean, but this is what heavyweights should look like, though. Like, we all know your shit, so just give it your all and try and fucking KO each other with your big power. And like Asplund did. It was really fun. Even though the is shit, it worked because Sheriff's also shit. It's a heavyweights need to learn. You're all shit, so take the risks. Take the risks because the other opponent's probably not going to capitalize on you making a mistake while you're taking a risk because they're dumb heavyweights, right? Also, Stephen Asplund in round 1 plundered his own ass, right? He whiffed on a high kick and then fell just flat on his backside. And, never again should he throw a head kick. Never again. He almost broke his back throwing a fucking head kick. Neil Magny versus Yaroslav Amosov. Yaroslav Amosov, man. He's legit. He's good. All right. He passed the Neil Magny test. So that's good for him. You know, solid, like, good submission victory in round 1 from Amosov. It was a nice choke, nice finish. It was easy work for Amosov. That was impressive. I'd like to see him move up in comp. Maybe he can fight Randy Brown after Randy Brown is done recovering. Joe Anderson Brito versus Isaac Thompson. Man, I don't know if it's just me, but Joe Anderson Brito looks worse. He looked kind of like poo. He just didn't look very good out there. I mean, he won a unanimous decision. It's fine. The fight was whatever. It was pretty fucking dull. Isaac Thompson looked really good though. He looked really skilled. He looks like he's got a lot of talent and skill. Dude's only 23 years old. I look forward to seeing more of Isaac Thompson. Joe Anderson Brito though, I don't know what the fuck was going on with him, he won, but that was kind of shit. Kind of a shit performance. I mean, I guess this Isaac Thompson guy, he seems like he's good. So, I don't know, maybe the win will age good for Brito, but at the same time, like, it's not, I'm not saying it was shit because, it was a 23-year-old in his debut. No, it's just because Joe Anderson Brito looked shit for Joe Anderson Brito. It just wasn't a good performance for him. Anyways, another shit fight. Oh my gosh. So many. Lance Gibson Jr., I don't know what to think about him because this dude was just back. Okay, I know he's dumb, and he's not really that good. But this dude was backpedaling the entirety of the fight and just throwing shots while going backwards and just wasn't really doing anything and just kind of got 30-27 schooled by Bobby Green, who was just talking in his face for 3 rounds with his hands down. And Lance Gibson wasn't doing shit. Like, he had a dude with his hands down right in front of his face, in range, not out of range, not in distance, in range, in fucking close range, and Lance Gibson didn't even care. He's like, this guy doesn't have his hands up, and he's talking to me in range like this. Yeah, I'm just gonna continue to back up. Like, what the fuck are you doing? What are you doing? This fight was kind of shit for the most part, and my Bobby Green was like kind of schooling him, I guess, but it was pretty boring. Not much was going on. I mean, at the end, how the fight ended, Bobby was, He got him. He got a takedown, and he ended the fight with raining down ground and pound shots on Lance Gibson, and that was nice. So it was a good performance from Green. It looked like he just knew that Gibson just wasn't as good as him, so he just kind of coasted. He just coasted most of the fight, which I don't like that. Like, if you can finish a guy, fucking try and finish him. Because he probably could have finished him, and we wouldn't have to see that whole nonsense fight. Oh, speaking of a nonsense fight, Marcus Buchecha, you are a credentialed Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt with all these fucking accolades in competitive Jiu-Jitsu, and you're out here and you can't even get and you're not. He wasn't. Fuck. And you can't even come close to doing what Walter Walker did against Kennedy Nzechukwu. Because Marcus Buchecha, he tried to leg lock Kennedy just like Walter Walker did. Walter Walker, who doesn't have any accolades in Jiu-Jitsu and is, lifelong MMA guy. And that guy was able to easily get a leg lock on Kennedy Nzechukwu, while Marcus Buchecha, this credentialed BJJ black belt athlete, wasn't even able to come close. And he makes the dumbest decisions on the ground. Marcus Buchecha, this guy has all these accolades in jiu-jitsu, yet, dude, I understand, being washed because you're old, but, when you're washed, your fight IQ generally doesn't just go out the fucking window. But for some reason, in Buchecha's case, it does, because he makes the dumbest, the dumbest decisions on the ground. When he's just, barely, holding on to Kennedy's leg. This takedown, I don't even know if I call it a takedown. He had the back of Nzechukwu, while they were standing, he had the underhook grips on him, and then he just kind of fell back onto bottom behind Kennedy's legs and wrapped himself around his leg. It was the dumbest shit. Man, I don't know what else to say. This fight sucked dick. Buchecha looked shit on the feet because he's shit on the feet, and he looked dumb on the ground. But, Kennedy was a little cheater, so unfortunately for him, a point got taken away in round 2, and Kennedy won rounds 1 and 3, but round 2, Buchecha won plus, point deduction for Kennedy, so it ended up being a draw. I don't really care. Oh, here we go. Some actual good excitement on this card. My boy Melky Costa. Melky just starched out Morgan Charrier in round 1. He the head kick was so hard, he fell back on his own high kick. He slipped back, and then you saw Charrier just freaking die. That guy just fell backwards through the canvas. That head kick was fucking beautiful. Charrier was blocking it, but that high kick came over the guard and hit him right in the temple, and he was out. He was out before he even hit the ground. As soon as that shin made contact, he was unconscious, and then he fell back, and then he woke up from the impact of the ground. Crazy stuff. Melky deserves a ranked opponent after that. ASAP. Give him freaking David Onama. Give him David Onama. Or Danny Ige. One of those two guys, right? I'm thinking David. But Cesar Almeida versus Cesare Olejic. Boing grappling decision for Cesare Olejic. Yeah, I thought he was gonna knock him out. And then when he was getting to the ground, I was like, all right, so now maybe posture up and ground a pound. No, just hold him. We're Hamza Padrikis, but we're not even gonna try to throw too much ground a pound. Okay. And it was just that for 3 rounds. It's like a worse version, more inactive version of Hamza Padrikis. So, Yeah, that fight was shit. Dominant, good performance from Oleksiejczyk, but I mean, he beat Cesar Almeida. Caesar's fine, I guess. So good performance from Oleksiejczyk, I guess. Kevin Vallejos committed murder. Yeah, Giga Chikadze, his funeral will be held next weekend. Yeah, he's fucking dead. That was crazy. Round one, some good exchanges in round one. It's kind of a normal round one for Giga Chikadze. Giga won round one. He was looking good. He wasn't looking old and washed. All right, Giga was looking good, man. He was. And he won round one. And, damaging. Landed some good combinations on the feet against Vallejos. Then you have round two. And, Kevin's, plotting. And, Giga's starting to get a little jittery. Similar to the main event, which we'll get to. But, yeah, he was getting, a little jittery. Come forward and backwards and doing all this, bouncing and stuff. And then, the commentary last night was terrible, by the way, because Michael Bisping was out here saying, these coaches need to tell, Kevin Vallejos, he needs to, stop looking for counters, and he needs to, just come forward and, land the big shots, because he's a shorter, more powerful guy. He needs to stop trying to play the counter game. And then as soon as he said stop trying to play the counter game, whatever the fuck it was he was saying that was similar to that, Giga, throws a little, a pitiful little 1-2 that's, super, I don't know, jammed up for some reason. And then Kevin counters him with an overhand, cracks him, leading into KO sequence. So, Bisping, get off the fucking commentary team. You suck. You've never been good at commentary. I would be way better at commentary than you. You talk nonsense. You literally scream baby boy when you see KOs. And then, Vallejos, after the overhand, comes forward, boom, spinning back fist from hell, is what he unleashes on Giga Chikadze. And then follows up with some ground and pound shots for good measure. And yeah, Giga Chikadze's dead. Joining Giga Chikadze in the graveyard will be Brandon Royval. Man, I was wrong. And, I can't even blame myself. But there's one detail that I forgot to mention in my prediction video about this. And that, I should have thought of when considering my pick. So, you all know that USADA is gone. Right? And since USADA has been gone, Manel Kape has gotten, he's always kind of had, puffier pecs. But, ever since USADA's been gone, he's been getting some crazy gyno in his right pec. That nipple's been popping out. Some crazy gynecomastia that dude's been getting. Since USADA's been gone. And also since USADA's been gone, Manel Kape's now on a 3-fight KO win streak. They're all great wins. And no one does that to Brandon Royval. Literally nobody. Ever. And nobody will ever do that again to Royval. I don't care if he fights Kai France. Dude, this new evolved version of Manel Kape after USADA left is crazy. He's just more athletic and he's more powerful, but at the same time, he's more technical. He's just evolved. Manel Kape's evolved. He's, in line for a title shot. They're gonna give it to Tyra. If Pantoja doesn't immediately come back, they're giving it to Tyra because they want to go to Japan. So, but at the same time, Kape is more deserving than Tyra. But they want to go to Japan, they're gonna give it to Tyra. And Kape can, I don't know, because there's Tyra and Pantoja, they're gonna get title shots before him. So, Kape doesn't really need to do anything. He just needs to make sure that no one else tries to earn a title shot. So, I think he's good to sit out and wait for his title shot in late next year, early 2027. And if he needs to, if someone else, tries to, come up the rankings, he can just KO that person real quick, right? And I hope that someone doesn't happen to be Kyoji Horiguchi, because he just got matched up with Amir Albazi, and I think he's probably going to beat Amir Albadzi. And I don't want to see Kape versus Kyoji because I really like Kyoji, and I think Royval would put him in the graveyard next to Royval. But anyways, yeah, Kape, he's good, man. Royval was looking really jittery, real jittery. They were sad to say he looked a little scared. Maybe not scared, but he was very jittery out there. He's landing some shots early and, being long and rangy and jittery, and everything was just shaky. Dude was looking real shaky and a little geriatric-like, and he was bouncing around all over the place, right? And Kape's just kind of stalking his prey. Just kind of, being real precise with his movements and, moving out the way of Royval's flurry of geriatric jitteriness. And then, Manel, gets him up against the cage, kind of follows him as Royval's kind of dancing about and follows him to where Royval's up against the cage. And then Royval, for some strange reason, he decides to take a big step to the left, right into Manel Kape's power hand. I don't know why he did that. And then, so, of course, Manel Kape, as Royval deliberately steps into Kape's power hand, Kape just freaking rips an overhand over the top, and Royval dies. Right? And people say early stoppage this, and why? Well, no. Did you see the way he dropped to the floor? Yeah, I would have stopped that shit too. Royval dropped down bad. And then Kape immediately, boom, cut the angle Ilya Topuria style to get into the ground and pound sequence. Not as clean as Ilya, though, of course. And then, a couple ground and pound shots, and Royval's head, turned to the ground. And, yeah, it was a fair stoppage. There was literally no way Royval was going to get up after that shit. And on the mic, Manel Kape says that he's talking about, I'm going to get Diaper Boy, and I'm going to take his diapers alive. Yeah, it's very, very strange stuff from Kape. I like that he's trying to do trash talk, but I don't understand what he meant by that. I mean, I get he didn't say it, but yeah, he's calling out the champ, Joshua Van. He's calling him Diaper Boy because he's young or whatever. And yeah, he's not gonna get that. Manel Kape should just wait it out and see if someone like my boy Kyoji or someone else is trying to come up the rankings and sneak their way into a title shot and just snipe them real quick. So he just needs to make sure his title shot is secure for next year or the year after that. Because you KO Brandon Royval, Asom Abayev, Bruno. So all those three in a row, especially TKO and Asu and knocking out Brandon Royval back to back like that. Yeah, you're gonna get a title shot. It's just a matter of time. The UFC is gonna do their thing with Tyra, and of course Pantoja, and then by the end it'll be between Royval, Tyra, and Pantoja that Kape will be facing. Anyways, that's all I have to say about this card. And you guys have got a lot of content to look forward to in the 6 weeks in the UFC. All right, a lot of MMA YouTubers probably aren't going to post much, but I'm going to be posting daily. I have countless video ideas for these next 6 weeks, and I might run out, so I might end up needing some new ones. But for now, I'm stacked up. I'm stacked up for the next 2 weeks. I'd say I'm pretty stacked up on videos. So see you next time.